Hello, good day guys. My name is CryptoKeep and today I want us to talk about pairs. When I say pairs, I mean the BTC USDT pair, the hot BTC pair, and the hot USDT pairs. Many times we have seen that whenever the BTC USD pairs is up, the hot BTC pairs are usually down, and sometimes the hot USDT markets are either down or up. So we have to understand the underlying factor behind this to be able to choose what pair to trade. Either you are a day trader, a swing trader, a position trader, it doesn't matter, but ability to know what to trade is key, and ability to know what to trade matters a lot in the market, because we do not want to choose a coin that is very strong against a very strong pair, because having two strong pairs can result in a lot of whipsaw, or rather consolidation with no movement between these coins, and then we stay in the trade for a very long time. So choosing our pairs is very important to having a very successful trading career. So to start with, I want us to know that USDT, as it is referred to, or Theta, is a stable coin which is backed by 1-to-1 ratio of the United States dollars. This means 1 USDT is equal to 1 United States dollar. If you have $10 in USDT, you simply have the same $10 in USD. Some people think because 1 USD is 1 USD, they do not know that fiat currency can also be volatile. Volatility can be low, medium, high, or even very high, as we have with the cryptocurrency market. They do not know that economic currencies such as the US dollar and even Naira are affected by economic factors, which can mean that at some very points it can be very weak, and at some points it can be very strong. This is why the currency index is very useful to look at, especially when trading the forex market. You can't trade the forex market without looking at the currency index, as in knowing which pair or which instrument to pair against another instrument. The US dollar index, as we have, is the DSY. This is where you can see where the USD is either weak or strong. You can also trade it like you would trade any other pair. If you want to take a quick look at the DSY on TradingView, you can just come to your chart and type the DSY, and here we have it, the US dollar currency index. As we can see here, it is in a downtrend from this very high, which shows that the US dollar is being weak. And as we have this bullish movement, if this bullish movement continues to the upside, that means we have a strong dollar. Since the index is strong, then that means dollar is expected to rise in the coming weeks. You should know that for 1 US dollar to be 1 USD, 1 BTC is also 1 BTC. Likewise, 1 altcoin is equally 1 altcoin. Altcoin in this case, I mean the general altcoin as a whole, it can be ETH like I am using in this example, and it can be SRP, it can be Link, it can be OGN, it can be YFI, it can be YFII, it can be any altcoin at all. But in the general case, I'm regarding all of them as altcoin for the sake of this example. So 1 altcoin is 1 altcoin, as we have 1 ETH is 1 ETH, 1 SRP is also equals to 1 SRP. Now, pairing is putting two players in a field of play. We have BTC versus USDT. We know that the USDT here is a stable coin which is backed by 1-to-1 of the United States dollar. So if I'm saying feature in this video, if I refer to USDT as USD or USDT, you should know that I'm referring to the same thing, okay? So pairing two instruments, BTC is an instrument, USDT is also an instrument. So pairing two instruments is like putting two players in a field of play. BTC versus USDT, ALTS versus USDT. Likewise, we have ALT versus BTC. So in a game of football where two teams start to play, there are three possible outcomes. Either we have a win, a loss, or a draw. If a team wins, this means that the team is stronger than the opposing or the losing team. If a team loses, it means that the losing team is weaker than the winning team. And if there is a draw, which means no winner, it simply means both teams are of equal strength and no one could overpower the other to either claim a win. Now, what happens when you play two very top teams or two very strong teams? Assuming we have Barcelona playing Real Madrid, or we have Liverpool playing Manchester United, as these two are at the top of the table at this very moment, what could be the likely outcome of these matches? Definitely, fans of these teams will assume that their team would win. Barcelona fans will claim that Barcelona will win, while Real Madrid fans will say Real Madrid will win. Liverpool fans will want their Liverpool to win. Manchester United will want Manchester United to win. But someone who is not a fan of either of these teams will not be personally and emotionally biased towards any of these teams. So he will be able to analyze correctly due to the strength of both teams and predict the likely winner of the match, or if it will be a draw based on his analysis of their strengths. This is why being emotional with trading coins or pairs is not advisable, because when you are emotional towards a particular coin or a particular pair, you are likely to swing in favor of that pair even if it is not strong to trade. Now back to the game. We can either have a winner or a loser or a draw in the game. If there is a winner, this means the winning team is stronger than the other strong team, because now both teams are strong, right? Barcelona is a strong team, Real Madrid is a strong team. And as we have currently, Manchester United is very strong, coming from their recent good form, and Liverpool is also a very strong team. So if we play the two of them together, if one wins, that means the winning team is stronger than the other strong team. If we have a draw, it means both are of equal strength and no one could overpower the other, like we are today when Liverpool took on United. Take this as well for two bottom table teams, like the very two teams at the bottom of the table. Being bottom of the table shows that they are very weak teams. But if both of them meet in a game, there is either a winner or a loser, or both of them play a draw, which still shows that one team is stronger than the other if the outcome is a win and a loss, or the other is weaker than the other team that won. But if there is no winner in the game, which means it is a draw, then they are of equal strength, and but still both are still weaker teams compared to other teams, right? Now, if you are not a fan of football, I don't want to be biased toward football alone. Let's look at the fighting game, boxing. If you have a fight between two undefeated champions, being undefeated alone clearly shows that both fighters are very strong and good. But if they are paired in a game which they must fight each other, two undefeated champions fighting each other in a game, one must emerge as a winner and the other must lose, right? For there to be a winner, there must be a loser. If they draw the fight, they may simply continue to another round until a winner emerges. This means the winner is stronger in the fight than the other fighter, and the loser is just plainly weaker than the other fighter. But in the draw, both are of equal strength. But as we know in boxing, a winner must emerge. So if they draw, they may actually give them another round to play. So either both are very strong, or either one is very strong and one is weak against the other. So we either have a win, a loss, or a draw. But we can easily predict the outcome of the game if we have a very strong team or a very strong fighter, and then the other team they are playing is a very weak team or a weak fighter. We would easily assume that the strongest of the two will win the match without much debate, which is true. If you have Barcelona taking on Western, or you have Bayern Munich playing Burnley, you will easily assume that Bayern Munich will definitely win. So we want to take this scenario to our trading pair when choosing what coin or what pair to trade. You want to trade a pair knowing beforehand which of the two instruments is stronger and which one is weak. Then you trade in favor of the stronger one. As BTC is paired against US dollars, you can easily check the US dollar index, which is DSY that I showed you earlier, to see if the coin is moving upward and showing some strong movement, which means it's bullish, or it is actually weak and bearish by showing some bearish movement. Also, if you are a soccer lover and you play soccer bets, if you want to play a bet in favor of a team, or if you want to bet, you definitely are going to bet in favor of the stronger team that you believe will win. If you have Man City playing West Ham, you won't bet in favor of West Ham that West Ham will beat Man City. You won't do that because Man City is clearly stronger, right? So it is the same thing for trading. You want to trade, you want to long the stronger pair or the stronger instrument and short the weaker instrument. This should be the same for ALTBTC when we talk about maybe ETH, BTC, or any other coin, altcoin against BTC. This should be the same for ALTBTC pairs. But when BTC is moving strong, altcoins are usually weak. And when BTC is also weak, we expect altcoins to be strong, but this is not the case. In case of USDP and BTC, if USD is strong, it simply means BTC is weak. And if USD is weak, BTC will be strong. Like we had recently, we had this BTC movement to the upside, this big rally. Let's compare it to the DSY and see what actually happened. As we can see from this very down, when we had this big move to the upside on BTC, we have DSY, which is the dollar index, being bearish. Now, this particular week, we have DSY being a bullish candle. And what do we have on BTC? BTC is printing a weak candle, which shows that they move in opposite direction. When BTC is strong, dollar is weak. When dollar is strong, like we have in these two candles here, BTC is weak. So that is the way it should be. But in terms of altcoin Bitcoin, it is not the same like that. When BTC is strong, we expect altcoin to be weak. And whenever BTC is weak, like we have in this week, we expect altcoin to be strong. But in most cases, it is not like that. What we do see is whenever BTC is rising, altcoins drops. And whenever BTC is dropping, altcoins see drops as well, which shouldn't be the case. And what could cause this? This is where the lesson starts. Bitcoin was the first of cryptocurrencies and acted as gateway to the crypto market for several years. Before you can buy any crypto coin, even the stable coins, you have to first buy Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was paired against the USD and it carried the weight of the entire crypto market on its shoulders, as the entire crypto market is also viewed as just a single asset class. Later, when altcoins started coming up and taking space in the crypto market, leading to the creation of the crypto market cap dominance. As we can see, we have the dominance chart, which all you all can look into now. If you want to see the dominance cap for BTC, just type BTC.D. This stands for dominance, and here you have it. As a matter of internal decision, because when you have matters of maybe in a dominance chart, you have made up to 100%. Now Bitcoin is above 66%. Then that means other coins are taking the space. But before, when it was only Bitcoin, if we have the crypto market as a single one, which BTC dominantly takes as a whole, then here we have the USD index, which is a DSY. Let me write that. But the moment we started seeing other altcoins taking the space, then we start to see Bitcoin dominance will reduce. So from a whole of 100%, which Bitcoin dominates, then we start seeing a reduction in Bitcoin dominance, either to 70%, from 80% to 70%, 70% to 60%. There was a time Bitcoin dominance was even around 30-something%. when altcoins started coming into the market and we start seeing the Bitcoin dominance reduce from 100% as it takes up the whole market to like 66 or 70%, then this means these bosses, small bosses which I have drawn, represent all the other altcoins. They are way more than this, but just for visual representation, let's use this example. So we have BTC taking more than half of the entire dominance, while all the other over 500 or over 1000 altcoins take the remaining 40 something percent, which is in the market. So as we have this is now the entire crypto market. As we have the entire crypto market as one against the DSY, we also have some internal decisions. And this internal decision is dominance, is a dominance. When Bitcoin is bigger, it is above 50% in dominance. That means Bitcoin is taking all the decision that needs to be taken in the crypto market alone. And as you know, they say majority carries the vote, right? And Bitcoin has more than 60% of dominance in the market. So whatever Bitcoin decide is what will happen. Even in a parliamentary house, whatever 51% of the house votes for is what the entire house will implement. Also, think of it like this. Assuming you have 10 guys in a house, which 7 of them are thinking together, they are like-minded, whereas 3 of them are of different views and different opinions. They have maybe 7 rooms or 10 rooms in a house, and they all contribute together to pay the rentage of the house. But 7 of those 10 guys, they like doing things together. They are always together. If they take a decision, they take it as one. Whereas 3 of the 10 people may disagree. If the 7 guys decide to leave the house for a new house, if they all contribute to get the new house, which means the 7 guys, what do you think will happen? The rentage of that house will be a burden on the remaining 3 guys. They won't be able to pay. So they will either decide to follow the other 7 guys and take the new place, or they guess to go on their own and find their own path. They may decide to go and rent somewhere which is affordable for them, rather than stay in the house which the other 7 guys have left and they cannot afford to pay the rent. Now the 7 guys is 70% dominance on Bitcoin, whereas the 33 guys is like 30% dominance on all the other hordes. Now, what this means is when money flows from Bitcoin into USD, like we have money flowing from Bitcoin into USD, what is actually happening is money is leaving Bitcoin into USD because USD is stronger than Bitcoin. So people expect Bitcoin price to fall while US dollar rises, right? And what happens when Bitcoin prices collapse and US dollar is high? You can easily buy Bitcoin at a lower price. And whenever Bitcoin becomes stronger again, it comes up and then the US dollar will crash. So when money flows from BTC to USD, making BTC market weak, money is also flowing out from altcoins into BTC. Because like I said in the beginning, altcoins weren't paired. They are not directly paired to the US dollar, but they are directly paired to the BTC. I will explain that soon. So when money is flowing out of BTC into dollar, this is shrinking in dominance as well as it is collapsing in price. So these guys here, this sort of seeing BTC is collapsing in price, not knowing what is going on. They will also exit from us into BTC for those that do not currently have the US dollar pair, or some will also exit from us directly into USD. And what will happen? This means altcoin will also collapse even further than BTC, because as money is leaving the Bitcoin into the dollar, money is as well leaving altcoins into BTC, then after entry BTC is leaving BTC again into dollar, or it is directly leaving the altcoin into the DSY or into dollar. So this creates an even bigger collapse on the altcoin market. So that is why when we see Bitcoin collapses in price, altcoin prices are also collapsing. But then sometimes when Bitcoin prices is falling, we have one or two altcoins that do shoot up in price. This is because some people are leaving BTC into the dollar, while some people are also leaving BTC into an altcoin, a particular altcoin, probably based on their fundamental at that particular time. So they have a fundamental that the coin is good and they have something coming up which is of interest to them. So rather than all of them going to dollar, some are going into that particular coin, and then you have the particular coin shooting up in price, while all others are collapsing because BTC is collapsing. They see their leader collapsing, not knowing what is going on, instead of the money to flow from BTC into us to allow us to grow, while BTC is dumping, which should be the normal thing that should happen. But that is not what is happening. Rather, they are also selling, which means the market is also collapsing, except for very few, probably due to what is coming up on them or their fundamentals, making them to yield. I hope you now understand why sometimes when we see BTC prices dropping, we also have altcoin price drops even further. If the traders or the investors or the people holding bags on altcoins and Bitcoin, if the moment they see Bitcoin is dropping, they do not sell whatever they have here, but rather they choose to hold it, then we may not experience a drop on the altcoin, because Bitcoin is taking the full decision here. So it's like whenever Bitcoin is going down, it's taking the entire crypto market down with it. And whenever it's going up, it's not taking the entire market down with it, because Bitcoin is actually beating altcoins, which is a normal thing to do. When Bitcoin is up, altcoin should be down. But whenever Bitcoin is down, altcoin should be up. But then no, altcoin investors also wants to buy Bitcoin at a very low price. So they sell their altcoin bags into BTC and continue selling BTC into dollar. So whenever Bitcoin finds a bottom, they are also exiting dollar to buy Bitcoin at a very low. Then when Bitcoin rises, and then remember when I said if there is a draw, when dollar and is strong and Bitcoin is equally strong, they are not stronger than each other. What do you think will happen? It is what we have consolidation moves. Dollar may be ranging, but Bitcoin will also be ranging. So when this happens, it gets tiring for the investors. So instead of selling their Bitcoin to US dollar, because dollar is also ranging, is strong, Bitcoin is equally strong, no movement. Then that is when they sell their their Bitcoin into ALTS. You start seeing money flow into ALTS. Dominance will drop at this point too, but the money dropping from Bitcoin is not going to USD, it is rather going into altcoins. And that is when we have the alt season, and alts just rally uncontrollably. That is for the BTC pair, BTC US pair, and then BTC DSY pair. Now, talking about ALTS and USDT pair. Why is it that people say ALTS USD pair, always follow BTC and USD pair? When we see BTC is bullish, let me quickly clear this. So why is it that people say when BTC is bullish, altcoin USDT are also bullish? When Bitcoin USD is dropping, altcoin USD is also dropping. But whenever BTC USD is consolidating, why are altcoin USD not consolidating? This is simply because it doesn't follow BTC in the real sense. But as they are not directly paired with USD, their method of calculations allow them to tend and ease to the direction of the strongest coin between their alt BTC pair and BTC USD pair. Now, normally when we have this one rising, we should have BTC dropping, right? Because money is flowing from BTC into dollar. So this one is dropping while this one is rising. And when this one is rising, this one is dropping. But then now we have odds paired against USDT. So back in the days when BTC was a gateway, when we have only Bitcoin, if you want to buy any other altcoin, you have to go through Bitcoin before you can access any other altcoin. Nowadays we have majority of the altcoins listed against USDT. And you can simply buy USDT, then buy any altcoin. You can even buy some altcoins against your local currency, which means the reliance on BTC as gateway to the crypto market industry has dropped. The way USD altcoin pairs were calculated is that you have their BTC, you have the BTC ALTS, or rather ALTS BTC pairs multiplied by BTC USD, and that will give you ALTS USDT price. So this method is still being used, but now because we have many altcoins against USDT in pairs, and because you can actually buy altcoins without going through BTC anymore, now we tend to see larger volumes on the USDT pairs, which means the USDT pairs now are acting not independently, but because the volume is large, we tend to see some differences in price variations between the calculated ALTS BTC ALTS USDT price and the exact ALTS USDT price based on trading volume. Now let me minimize this so we can actually see. This box, I have ETH BTC pair on the weekly time frame. Here I have BTC USD on the weekly time frame as well. And here you can see I have ETH BTC multiplied by BTC USDT to give us the USDT value of ETH. That was when the USDT ETH has not yet been listed. Normally when we have ICO, before we do have ICO coins, and what happens is that we have coins which are valued in USDT prices, but then you cannot buy those coins, you cannot buy them directly with the USDT market, from the USDT market, because they are not paired on any exchanges at that time. But then we have ETH BTC paired, so you have to buy BTC, then buy ETH. And later on, when we started seeing USDT pairs, the way they were calculated then, before we started seeing high volume rises on USDT pairs, now people are dishing BTC pairs to trade the USDT pairs. So we have this price value multiplied by the BTC USD price value to give us this, which is what I have plotted here. And this is the normal ETH USD price now. So if I quickly take a pause on this, and then I circle out this particular price ranges, we have 1256.9, whereas here we have 1256.7. This shows that there is just little price difference between the actual ETH USDT and the calculated ETH USDT price. Let me take the price, since as at this very moment. So let's assume we have price of Bitcoin USD to be 36,000 and ETH BTC to be this and ETH USDT to be this as this very price line. So what happens if Bitcoin decides to gain 10% while ETH drops 10%? What will happen to ETH USDT? So this will be the calculation for that. This one gains 10%. That will give us 36,900, right? It will give us 39,600. And then if ETH BTC drops 10% as well, that will give us, so what will then be the price of ETH USDT? Then we have to multiply this by 39,600. That will give us 1227.09 approximately. So what has happened here? This means there is a drop here, right? Here we have a 10% yield. We have 10% up move here. Here we have 10% down move. So how many percentage have we gained or lost here? Let's calculate that. So we have price coming from 125822 to 1227.09. That means we have dropped 2.47% on ETH. So why is it that when Bitcoin rose by a whooping 10% and ETH BTC dropped 10%, why is it that here we have a negative value? That means Bitcoin went up, ETH BTC dropped down, then we have a little drop on ETH USD. If ETH USD were to be following BTC USD, as this is making an up move, we will also see an up move here, but that is not so, because this and this made an equal amount of move, equal percentage, which means this one rose 10%, this one rose 10%. So this just made a minimal move, a little move to the negative side, because to fall is easy than to rise. But then if we have, assuming we have 20% drop on Bitcoin from this last price, and we have a 10% move to the upside on ETH BTC, what would be the percentage of move either to the upside on ETH USD and the value? So let's calculate that. So we have 39,600 minus 20%, will give us 31,680. To give us the current price will then be 31,680. This one, we have a 10% positive. So what will that give us? That will give us 34. What will the price of this be? And then what will the percentage of move be? Either it will follow BTC to the downside, or it will follow ETH to the upside. Let's see. So that will be this amount multiplied by the current amount of BTC, 680. That will give us 1079.83. 1079.83. No even need to calculate the percentage here, because we already say it dropped. Why? This is because Bitcoin made the bigger move to the downside. This move is bigger than this move. So when you calculate the price between these two, it becomes lower. So at the end of the day, now let's calculate it and see the percentage move. Now we have 1227.09 minus, we have a 12% move to the downside. You see that? But what happens if this move is bigger than the move on BTC? Assuming BTC doesn't make any move, assuming BTC remains at 31,680, while this one gains another 10%, what will happen? Let's do that. Bitcoin remains at 31,680 at this point. Assuming it's consolidating, this one gains the same amount of gain from this last price, so it gains the same amount. That will give us 37. Let's take it like that. So what will be the price of ETH USDT here? This will give us this very amount multiplied by 31,680, current price of Bitcoin. This will give us 1187.82. As you can see, it has also increased. It has increased again. Let's calculate the amount of increase here. That will give us 10% move, a 10% move to the upside. So you see, the value of altcoin USDT always tend and follow which one is moving faster. If BTC USDT is moving to the upside faster than alt USDT is dropping, then alt BTC is dropping, then we will see alt USDT moving to the upside. But if we have BTC USDT dropping faster than alt BTC is rising, it is likely we have a kind of sideways, or a little movement to the downside, or a little movement to the upside on alt USDT. But if BTC USD is dropping slowly, while alt USDT is rising big, then we will see and also a decent move to the upside on alt USDT value. But then if this is rising slowly, maybe they are of the same value, then this can either go up a little or down a little. So that is the way alts are calculated, alt USDT value. Now let's look at the chart if we can see some little differences. At this very point, we have this very red in the circle. If you look at this BTC for this week, it dropped in prices, right? The prices dropped. Whereas here in altcoin, look at the date, 23 November, and to the right we have 23 November. So here it was a green movement. We had a green candle, which means alt Bitcoin was to the upside, whereas Bitcoin USD was to the downside, even if it wasn't a very big move. Then what happened on ALTS USD? This is the move here, 23 November. As we can see, it's also to the upside. It's also to the upside because the move here to the upside is bigger than the move here to the downside. So what happened was we ended up having a green candle here. If ALTS USDT were to be following BTC USD in all moves, the moment we have a red candle here, then we should have a red candle here, but not a green candle. So it can be easier to trade ALTS USDT pairs because if Bitcoin is trending to the upside with a lot of momentum, and if this one is having a slow bleed like we see, then it is highly possible we have ALTS USD having a good rally to the upside as well, whereas their Bitcoin pair is bleeding, they are rising to the upside, as we can see in this very move. We see this ETH BTC is bleeding while ETH USD is gaining. That is because BTC USD is as well gaining. I hope you understand. Now, if we are to look one by one at this very candle where we have highly bullish moves on Bitcoin, highly bullish move on ETH, I'm sure, whereas Bitcoin is coming down, I'm sure we have to see some bullish movement or some consolidation movement on ETH. So it is a little better to trade the USDT pairs because if BTC is moving to the upside with a lot of momentum, then it is more likely we have some positive movement on the USDT pairs. Why? If Bitcoin is dropping and then ALTS are pumping, then we are still likely to see an up movement on USDT ALTS. So it is more easier nowadays to trade the USDT pairs as compared to the ALTS BTC market. So that is the way we can see the calculation behind the ALTS BTC market, and the ALTS USDT market. In both ways, we want to see what BTC USD is doing and what the ETH BTC is doing. But most times, because now the volume on USDT pairs is a lot higher than on the ETH BTC pairs, as I am looking right now, I am seeing the BTC ALTS pair is having 10,000 plus in 24-hour trading volume on Binance. 10,000 BTC in 24-hour trading volume, whereas I'm seeing ETH USDT pair to be 1.6 billion in 24-hour trading volume. If we multiply this amount of Bitcoin, 10,000 Bitcoin, by the current value of Bitcoin, how much should that be? This is nowhere near the trading volume on the USDT pair. So this would tend to be the leader. So analysis will be more accurate on the ETH USDT pair compared to the BTC ETH pair because of the trading volume. Here there are more people involved in it than on the ETH BTC pair. So that is why it is easier to trade the ALTS USDT market. If BTC to the upside with a lot of momentum, even if the BTC pairs are bleeding slowly or even faster, ALTS USDT will still move with the one moving the fastest. If this is doing 40% and this is coming down 20%, ALTS USD will be up. Except if this one is dropping 50% and this one is moving 10-20%, then we have ALTS USD will also bleed, but not as much as the BTC pair will bleed. Based on market conditions, we do not have to be emotional to one pair, like I've stated earlier in this video. So I think I will be considering trading now on the USDT pair. So you should just look at both pairs and see how they work and which one works better with your strategy. Then you'll be able to choose what to trade. And with what I have said this evening, I think you will know how they are calculated and what happens with all these pairs. And if you see this coming down, why Bitcoin is up, Bitcoin is simply stronger than altcoins. And if you see Bitcoin is coming down, why alts are still coming down, then it simply means people are exiting Bitcoin into USD and also exiting altcoin into USD rather than keeping and wait, or for Bitcoin investors to also buy into some altcoins so they can as well rally. And that is because Bitcoin is a sole decision maker for the entire cryptocurrency market, because it has 70%, or as it is today, 66% of the entire dominance, whereas all other altcoins, or in totality of the altcoins, they share around 44%. So ETH, if I am to check the dominance for ETH, that will be ETH.D. As you can see, ETH is having just 14% of the entire dominance to itself, 14%. So if BTC and ETH are doing 66 plus 14%, that is like 80%. That means all the other altcoins are doing less than 20%. You see? So checking the dominance as well is also very helpful, as when the dominance is rising, it shows that money is flowing into ETH, and then we have some up movement. As we can see here, we have some up movement. Now if we look at this last three candles here, we have a green move, and you can see here also is a green move. And what do we have here? We have very big moves, because both of them are strong. ETH is strong, BTC is strong. Then we even have a stronger move on the ETH USDT. But here we are having a red move at the moment. Here is a green move, but the distance is not much. And here we are having a very small red. Looking at the body alone, a very small red, showing that maybe the difference of movement in ETH BTC and BTC USD, the difference is not that much. So this is just somewhere in between. So that is it about pairs, guys. Do not forget to subscribe so we can go into more technical series in the future. Thank you for watching.